I'm Rob. Alex has got her mouth full.
I lied. I wasn't done eating.
All right.
Okay, now
wait one for the chewing.
Okay, start
good
over.
Now? Are we good?
Yeah.
Are we good? Are we good?
We're good, dude.
I'm Rob.
I'm Alex.
And we're two highly opinionated people who absolutely love watching movies but don't always love how they end. This is our podcast to suggest alternate endings to the movies you loved, hated, or love to hate. Are they better than what made it to the final cut? Probably. Maybe. That's for you to decide. This is Alternate Podcast.
And I'm Alex.
How's that mango?
Good, I have one piece left.
Should we all wait while you get that last one in?
No.
All right, just checking.
Absolutely no. I can wait.
All right, well then let's so that we can get to that mango. Let's talk about seeking a friend for the end of the world. That friend needs to make sure they bring mango.
Mangoes.
If
they can get it, you know.
Yeah, might be in
Supply
high
chain.
demand. Yeah, they're like electronic chips. It's hard to get.
Hard to get.
Yeah,
that's one thing. One thing I noticed and one thing I appreciated. The high level summary is that the world's going to end in a couple weeks. I think like 3 weeks, because a meteor is going to crash and we have no way to stop it. And it's going to basically destroy all life on Earth.
Yeah.
And so throughout it, you see kind of all that's happening. But it's not like some of these other movies we've watched where it's like, oh, how are they going to survive? And like a dystopian thing where it's like dark and blah, blah, blah. It's more a comedy.
Yeah.
Kind of a dark comedy, I guess. But it's, so they do kind of reference that stuff, but it's pretty like, it just happens in the background, you know, like,
yeah.
You just hear on the you know, the exposition TV that electricity is going to be shut down in a few days, or, you know, whatever's going to be shut down. And so as the world kind of stops producing because people know that things are going to stop being, I guess.
Right. With that, I didn't understand, like, I understood most of what was going on, but whenever they talked about like the powers being turned off or cell phones aren't going to work anymore, it's like, if it's ending all in 3 weeks, why not just leave everything on? Like, you just leave it.
I guess so you don't have to, because that means people are going to work. That means stuff is still going. So it's like, let people, maybe at that point, it's like nobody's showing up anymore.
Yeah, I guess that's just me not understanding. I figured cell phone towers are pretty self-sufficient, and all you need is someone to, like, every once in a while do a double check. But I figured it was fine, but I guess so. That makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's very interesting, you know, the news guy who's doing the, you know, Walter Cronkite or any famous news person who's just with it till the end. We'll be there to broadcast and let you know what's going on when he could be with family.
Yeah.
But he's about the people. It's like, yeah, that was awesome. I probably wouldn't do that, but, you know, good for you, bro. Good for you.
Good for you, man. Yeah, so what's so funny is when you suggested this movie, I was like, oh, I can't. Like, of course, another dystopia. And I was like, this is, of course, why we do this. Like, how could it not? Like, how could our podcast not be focused on dystopias? Because they're inherent to a dystopia is the desire for a different outcome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, because obviously we don't want to have that foresee our you know, destruction.
Doom. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember I watched this movie when it came out. I don't know, on my laptop in college, or I think right after college, and I remember when you first said it, I was like, oh, depressing movie, because I remember the way it ended, kind of like I just remember how it ended, and I was like, oh. And then rewatching it, I was like, you know what? Not a depressing movie.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah.
Great ending. I actually don't think I would change the ending. But, you know, we still can. I think maybe, 21-year-old Alex might have changed the ending, obviously.
Sure.
Because the ending kind of took over the rest of the movie, and I forgot the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's kick-ass soundtrack.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah. This has got good beats in it, which is cool.
It was a spicy soundtrack.
That's the fun part. I'm like realizing, the fun part about this podcast. Like Alex has said it many times. Really, this podcast exists because we like watching movies. We like talking about movies, and that's just our little twist to the podcast. The fact that we give alternate endings, and that's because that's how I always am when I watch a movie, even if it's the best. Well, usually when it's really good, I'm like, I won't change anything. But that is like few and far between. Even with movies I love, I'm like, I wish it would have gone a different way. And I mean, with this one, like you said, the ending is good. It's more like doing an alternate ending is kind of like, wouldn't it be neat if it was this, or if this happened? It's that kind of thing. And it's not like, this is just a terrible ending and I want to change it. It's not always that way. So I mean, I think that's where I'm coming from. Like when we get to the point of doing the alternate ending, it's kind of like, it just would have been cool if it was this, and just looking at it from that perspective. But not at all a depressing movie, I don't think. I mean, Steve Carell's character Dodge is a little bit of a downer in the beginning, just a depressing. He plays another depressed guy. But it gets better. Definitely gets better. He gets better.
And I think like the point of the movie, it's set. The backdrop is that your life is ending, and you know it, right? And everyone's life is ending. But I think the point of the movie is to question or think about like, what are you doing with your life and what's valuable to you? Mm-hmm. And, obviously at the very beginning, his coworker turns to nihilism and finds there is no meaning and he kills himself.
Right.
And so there's that piece. So that's what I appreciated too, is there's all these different reactions to this news, and like his friends, Rob Corddry and Mrs. Coach. I forget her name in real life.
Mrs. Coach. That's all I could think of when I was watching it too.
Connie
Britton, who plays
Connie
Diane.
Britton. They kind of go into hedonism. So it's and like today we today we feast, for tomorrow we die.
Right.
And Patton Oswalt, all that crew. But then he's searching for, there must be meaning, and my life hasn't had meaning, but it doesn't mean there is none. Yeah. And that's where he comes and meets with, our other character, our other protagonist, Keira Knightley.
Penny, she's similar to him, but in a different way. Like she's lived her life, yet she has regret to where she, in living her life, has neglected her family, and she's far from family. So it's kind of like, I want to get to where my family is and be with them, kind of a thing, where he's like, I have regrets, I should do things differently. What are they? I don't know. He doesn't know he just kind of lives life as it always is. He's like, he's going to go to work anyway and answer questions. Yeah. And then, it's kind of ironic. His maid does the same thing, and he's like, "Why are you here? Why are you like in his own way, kind of like, why are you coming to work and doing things?" But he just came from his job, doing the exact same thing, and that it's just very interesting.
Yeah. And there was a moment that was so poignant to me, which is he's talking to Penny about what he does with his life after he leaves his one true love. And he says, I chose the life that was secure, that security. And they kind of laugh because, like, how ironic. Because there is, at this point, there is no security. Yeah. Because there's really nothing you can do in the face of this disaster.
Yeah.
Other than do what her ex-boyfriend did and hunker down for 6 months or whatever.
Yeah. What was it? Because he's an insurance salesman, so he's on the phone with the customer, and they're like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Yes, there's apocalyptic insurance. Yeah. Yes, the premiums are probably really high."
For sure.
I just thought that was pretty funny. Yeah,
it was, and what was so funny too is like they laugh about it and they recognize like security, and it's so funny because it's part of who we are as people too. Is we try to find security in things. Mm-hmm. of course, right? Like we try to find security in getting a better paying job and family and friends and just things that in various ways provide some sense of security to us.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's healthy and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, this movie is like a moment of, it's like, where especially in our society, we like to think we have it all figured out, or we have a plan. And if everyone just follows this plan, then they'll be fine. And this kind of like takes that out. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. Like, and then like you said, everybody just kind of goes down a different path. Then it's like, there is some kind of chaos when all your ideas are just kind of ripped to shreds. Like, it don't really matter whatever your plan was. Except for the supreme optimist, like you're saying, the guy in the basement and his group of, I don't know if they were military guys or not, but they're like, they got a Costco in a basement, basically. Like, they're ready. Yeah, survivalists, yeah.
Yeah. And frankly, listen, if there's a meteor coming and it's taking me out, it's taking all us out, I'm like, no, you can have your bunker.
Yeah.
I'll be done.
Yeah.
I would probably try to do what Penny does and just go find my family.
Go be with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The not to get too ahead, but really ahead. The ending of this movie reminds me of the old couple in Titanic that are just in the bed in the Titanic as you see rushing water. I don't know if you remember that. They're like this couple in steerage, and they're an old couple.
Yeah.
They're just laying in bed together, looking into each other's eyes as the ship is going down, and just that's what this ending reminds me of, which is actually really sweet because they're just like, it's going down. I'm with the person I've been with all my life, and I love them, and ciao. Like,
yeah.
All right then, which is kind of sweet. So that's one way to do it. Others do heroin like Rob Corddry does. Corddry. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Amy Schumer's in this. I was like, wait, that's Amy Schumer? Yeah, look at that. So this is probably one of the times when Amy Schumer was just a comedian, I guess, and not well known. But anyway,
yeah, she couldn't be well known at all. She only had like 2 lines.
Right? Yeah. All right. Well, this is probably one of the I didn't know about this movie. So when it came out in 2012, I didn't see it in theater. I mean, was this a good box office movie?
No.
I don't know. Okay.
It was not. I did not see it in theater, but I did see it. I don't know how I saw it, but I saw it. Don't tell the government. I think this was technically, I don't know if I'd call it a bomb. Like, it wasn't like they spent $100 million and made $8 million or something, but they definitely did not make money. It had a $10 million budget and a box office of 9.6. So they almost broke even, but not quite.
And it's, you can watch it now. Like, we watched it on Netflix, right? So it's on Netflix.
No, HBO.
Oh, HBO Max. Sorry. Yes. HBO Max. And I bet you it's got a lot of, because right now all the, whatever pandemic, post-apocalyptic movies and apocalyptic movies are pretty big these days, I think. And this is a good one. It's like it's like you said, lighthearted. So I bet on HBO Max it's getting a lot of watches. No way to look at that. HBO Max. When HBO Max, please call us or DM us on our Instagram. But yeah,
that's absolutely right. Please do.
Yeah, please do. Well, all right. So should we take a quick break? So you can have your mango, and then we'll get into the movie?
Sure.
Sweetness. We're back.
Hi.
Hey. Hey. Please follow us on Instagram at Alternate Podcast if you haven't already. Thanks for doing that. Let's get into this thing. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's go. Yeah, so should I go over the plot?
Why not?
You guys get it, right? Yeah, so they're in New York. And so what was so funny is at some point in this movie, I was like, where is this supposed to be? Because so many of the towns were like British towns. Like, it just felt like everywhere they went, I was like, I knew they weren't in England, but it was, because the whole point is trying to get her to England. But I was like, man, it's a lot of towns that are like how far away is, I I don't know, like Devon or, you know, something like that, where it was just like every little town was very English. But that's the East Coast for you.
I was going to say East
settled
Coast.
the East Coast?
Yeah. Who would have thunk?
And they're driving around Delaware. And you know what I know about Delaware? Almost nothing.
There's a famous painting about George Washington that has to do with
The Delaware River.
That's all I know.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's one of the first states, right?
Probably.
I think it is.
Probably.
Or the first state. Something pretty cool about that. But besides that, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Delaware's up to.
Has a lot of colonial homes, probably.
Probably.
Style. Yeah.
Okay. I think this movie opens on Steve Carell in his car, right? With his wife.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's with his wife, Nancy Carell. She plays his wife in the movie as well.
Yeah.
Carol from The Office.
Yeah.
And they're listening to the radio, and it's basically saying that this astronauts failed to destroy the asteroid. So
basically, pick your movie. Bruce Willis didn't do it. Bruce Willis didn't make it happen.
Right. Yeah. And so it's coming, and it's going to hit the Earth in like 21 days or something, and it's going to kill everyone. So they're sitting in the car listening, and Dodge says like some comment, I think like, should we keep going or something like that, and she just kind of looks at him.
I think we missed the exit or something.
Yeah, I think we missed our exit. Just like doesn't know how to respond, and so she just kind of like falls, like just gets out of the car and just starts running away. Like she's just like, what am I, you know? And that's the last we see or hear from her.
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah. We hear of her more, but we don't. She's just kind of gone from the movie. So he goes home, and I don't know. Does he go to? I think he goes to like work or something, and we see him go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And he works for an insurance company, like Rob brought up earlier. And there's like 6 people there, and there's a guy saying like, all right, well, there's a lot of positions open. Anybody want to be CFO?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah.
And do you remember the name of the guy who played? Oh, is it Rob? Yeah, Rob Hubel plays his coworker. And I was kind of bummed he was only in the show for the movie for a few minutes, but he's so funny.
Yeah.
He's one of his coworkers, and so they're all just kind of like reeling, right? Like trying to understand. And he just keeps going to work because he's like, what else am I going to do, you know? Mm-hmm. And he comes in, and we see Keira Knightley running out of Adam Brody's apartment, it looks like. And they're like kind of yelling. And so that's kind of the first intro we see those characters. Mm-hmm. And then, oh yeah, Adam Brody's in this. Yes.
For not too long either. He's the biggest idiot in the movie.
He's so funny.
He is funny.
So yeah, he goes in, and his house cleaner is there, and she's like, all right, I'll see you next week. He's like, are you serious? Please don't come. She's like, why don't you, are you firing me? And he's like, all right, I guess come. But like, she like doesn't seem to get what's going on. Mm-hmm. So she leaves. And then, I guess he's like looking through his stuff and finds like and starts like thinking about his old, he looks at like some memorabilia and sees like something from his old like high school girlfriend, and then hears somebody crying. So he goes to the window, and Keira Knightley's like crying on the fire escape. Penny. Oh, and his name is Dodge.
Right.
Don't know why,
Penny
but they named him Dodge. And by they, I mean Lorraine Scafaria. She wrote this and directed it. Lorraine Scafaria? I don't know. Anyway, so she talks. I don't remember what she says. I think she's sad because she spent so much of her time away from her family.
Yeah, she keeps hanging out with loser guys instead of being with family, basically.
Yeah. So then he goes to work, and one of his coworkers commits suicide, and it's Rob Hubel. And so, you know, because he had said earlier, like, life has no meaning, you know, and he kind of just loses it and falls into some serious nihilism. So that's pretty sad. And then he goes to like a party at his at his friend's house, and they're like, nothing means anything. Nobody belongs to anyone anymore. They're like, let's try heroin, and they're getting the kids drunk, and it's kind of a weird scene, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so they're kind of like, whatever, you know, like they're just
partying their life away.
Partying their life away because they only have 3 weeks to live, or maybe at this point 2 weeks. I don't remember. It kind of goes week to week, or it gives you like a countdown. So Dodge gets home, and Penny gives him like 3 years worth of mail that has been coming to her house, and she's like, "Oh, I finally know who you are. So here you go," and accidentally tells him at the same time that his wife. She's like, "Oh, your roommate. She had a cool boyfriend. What was his name again?"
Yeah.
And because she doesn't know that they're married, because obviously they don't seem like they're married.
Yeah.
And then also it seems like she had a boyfriend as well. So pretty sad.
Yep.
So then he goes to the store and he needs to get window cleaner for the
for Elsa.
for the housekeeper.
Yeah.
Windex. And so he like drinks the Windex.
Oh yeah.
To like as a suicide attempt, and he wakes up in the park and there's a dog tied to his foot with a note that says sorry. So now he has a dog, and so
ugly dog.
Oh no, it's not ugly. It's cute. It's scrappy.
So ugly. So ugly. Why else did they leave that dog?
It's a cute little scrappy dog. So yeah, he reads this letter from his ex, like the love of his life,
His
and
high school
says
sweetheart.
Yeah, and it says that he was the love of her life, and her husband and her had divorced, and blah blah blah. So he was like, man, I really, should I go? Kind of like thinking about stuff. And meanwhile, a riot breaks down in the streets because people have finally decided to start rioting. So he's like, I gotta get out of here. So he tries to go. He goes to Owen, which is Adam Brody, and Penny's apartment. And the whole joke about Penny is that she'll sleep through anything. And so he's trying to wake her up, and she's just like, will not wake up. And Owen's like, oh my gosh, you guys are sleeping together. And he's like freaking out. Yeah, he's a goofball for sure.
Yeah. Very self-centered stoner, basically.
Yeah. So they leave. Owen, they kind of leave with the rioters. He says he has a way to get her to England. And so she's like, forget him. He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And so they kind of just drive off, and they're going to go to, because Dodge wants to go to his hometown where he thinks his high school girlfriend Olivia might be. Mm-hmm. And so Penny goes with him because he said that she has he said that he has a flight to England, like he can get her on a plane, because they talk about how the last plane flew. There's no more cell phones, like Rob said earlier, so there's no way to contact her family or to get to them.
Right.
So yeah, they're driving and they run out of gas, and so they get picked up by this guy, and then they're like, I don't know, he's gonna murder us.
William Peterson from CSI Las Vegas, the original. That's the only thing I know that guy from. So,
I don't think I knew him from it. I don't think I recognized him.
Actually, I think he's the dad in not Cape Fear, but Fear, with Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon. I think he plays the dad in that. Mark Wahlberg's a bad guy. Anyway, it's like
I see that he's in a movie called Fear. So
there you go.
Never heard of it, but he's in it.
You'd love it, Alex. It's a good suspense. Mark Wahlberg's
Oh,
a bad
would
guy.
I?
You'd love it.
Oh, yeah. It looks like the last movie he was in was Seeking a Friend for the End of the World.
There you go.
And then he's just like, I'm going to do TV.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it turns out he had been waiting for somebody to, like off him. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we should probably say before this, Steve Carell does walk by like one of those corkboard things where everybody's got notes, like someone, that's where the title comes from. There's someone with one of those papers and it says Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, and there's phone numbers. You could pull off a tab and call that person. And there was one that says Seeking an Assassin for the End of the World. None of the tabs for a friend were taken, but a bunch were taken for needing an assassin for the end of the world.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of other stuff as well, like music lessons and what have you and stuff, but that's where the title comes from. So
yeah.
So then now, yeah. So I guess this guy's one of the guys that pulled the tab.
Yeah. Pretty sad. So he thinks that they're gonna kill him, but they don't. And then all of a sudden he just gets shot, and then this like Mercedes drives away, and you're like, it's so funny. It's just like a silly thing because it's like a classic like assassin car.
Yeah.
And so it feels like such a funny call to like those types of movies. But I mean, it's still sad, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Like this movie is kind of that, sad but funny.
Right.
And then they go to a restaurant, and TJ Miller is there, and Britta from Community.
It's like a Fridays or an Applebee's kind of feel.
And they're just absolutely on drugs.
They're on X for sure.
Yeah. And so it's kind of funny. It's like this weird, like, what can I get for you guys? You know? And then it starts to get real weird.
Friends. Yeah.
Yeah. So they leave, and then they do it in the track.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, scandalous.
I gotta say, I did not see that coming.
I think it happened. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go refill my water because I'm like, I don't like, And then it ended. Like, they didn't show anything. I was like, cool. And then they get pulled over for speeding, and Keira Knightley, or Penny, is just like, yeah, I really just, gosh, is that all I was going over the speed limit? I thought I was going faster. And this guy actually puts them in jail, and so they're in jail all night. And then Jerry, Jim O'Hare, shows up as the sheriff, and he's like, come on. He's because his buddy, whoever put him in jail, was like, come on, man. He's like, sorry. He just, he takes
he's really taking his job
seriously.
seriously.
Yeah. So he lets him out. And then they get a ride from him because he won't take them all the way to like his hometown. So he takes them to Camden, and they meet Penny's ex-boyfriend, the guy who I referenced earlier, the kind of the survivalist guy. Derek Luke.
Mm-hmm. And why right now I can't think of what he's in. He's in a lot.
I knew him from Captain America, like the first Captain America.
Oh, yeah. He was one of his, I don't remember what they're called, but in World War II, one of his like gang of guys who takes down Hydra. Yeah.
But I mostly know him from Definitely Maybe. He's Ryan Reynolds' like best friend.
Oh, Glory Road. That's what I know him from. That's a basketball movie. It's a good movie. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember that movie well. But yeah, so anyway, he's in, and he's like, he takes him down to their bunker, and Penny, he has a satellite phone, so Penny gets to call her family. It's a really sweet moment, and talks to them, and talks to her niece and brothers and stuff. And
which was a really good part. Like, honestly, I've never been, not that I'm a movie expert, but I've never been too impressed with Keira Knightley. Like, she's a good actor, but I've never been like, oh, she's going to win an Oscar one day. But, like, just this phone conversation, which I thought was really good. Like, I felt for her, and it, like, seemed real, and just wanted to say that was a good, touching moment.
It was. Yeah. It was really good. And so Speck, her ex-boyfriend, is like, listen, she's got to come back, like, she's too good. She's one of the women that we want to have for when we need to repopulate the earth.
Yeah.
And Dodge is like, cool.
Yeah, and he's like telling Dodge, like, you're not going to survive this thing. We're the type that survive. You don't survive, and you're not welcome. Yeah. So it's like, thanks.
Yeah. So Penny and Dodge borrow a car from him, and they make it to Olivia's family home, and no one's home. And so it's this nice giant house. And they walk in, they just kind of end up like hanging out, and she makes dinner, and they listen to records, and just kind of realize they like each other, I guess. But they just are getting closer. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Penny finds a letter from Olivia to her parents and sees that there's a return address. So they go to the house, and then Dodge is going to go in, and she's feeling like, she's feeling like kind of a chump, if you will. And so she's like, oh gosh, what do I do? And then he comes back, and she's like, what's happened? And he just kind of had said he left a note on the door, and then they drive off, and basically tells her that, what does he say to her? Does he say anything for her to Penny?
He doesn't say anything to her yet. No, he just says, something about like, I told you I'd get you to the guy at the plane.
Okay.
So he doesn't, like, what he did, he doesn't say till later.
Okay.
So, yeah.
This next part, I think, is my favorite part of the whole movie. And they come upon, like, a train of, like, a long line of people walking across the road. And so they don't know where they're going, but they get out of their car and they join the people walking. And they're all walking to the beach, and there's a guy baptizing people in the water. And what I loved about this scene was, like, earlier in the movie, you see the people who are rioting, and there's, like, that response, and then you have, like, the people who are, like, hedonists and nihilists who take this thing, and their lives don't mean anything, and nobody belongs to one another, and life doesn't have value. And that's the first part of the movie. And then you get to this group of people who they meet walking, and these people are just there, like, in community with one another. Mm-hmm. And they go to the water, and whether they get baptized or not, they come and they have a picnic, and parents have their kids, and Dodge and Penny just sit there and are with them, and they're laughing, and it's just so human, and it's just so beautiful. And I was like, it's so good. I was like, that's the response. Like, I think we get caught up, I'm sure, I know I do, like, I get caught up in, like, oh, people are, you know, the purge, you know, like, not like, but like, and because we keep making movies about that, and we like to glorify that stuff, but I'm like, but I feel like for the most part, people just want to be with one another. And like this response of being like, we only have so much time left, and let's use it and make it valuable and beautiful and do things that are beautiful and enjoy the world and enjoy friendship and family. You know? Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was super sweet.
Yeah. I like that it showed, you know, because the movie shows, like you said, many different responses. And this one shows even like there's people that just, they have beliefs or they just want to be with each other and hang out. So it's just slowly showing the more positive stuff, which leads into the next scene that I actually really love when they finally get to their destination.
Yeah. They get to their destination. It's like a farmhouse, and they walk in and Martin Sheen's there.
Yeah.
And of course, he's
Dodge's
dad, his like long lost father, and he's, you know, just awesome. And so he's there, but he kind of apologizes, and they kind of talk, and then he says, he's like, I just have one question for you, and then talk a little bit, and then he never asks the question, or we don't see him ask the question to Frank. But they all have dinner together, and they hang out, and then Keira Knightley falls asleep, and of course because Penny always falls asleep, and he comes and walks outside, and his dad's in his little biplane, and he puts her in there, and she doesn't wake up, and he just kind of says to her, you know, does he say? I think he says, "You're the love of my life."
He does.
You're the real love of my life.
Yeah.
And he puts her on the plane, and you find out, you kind of infer that what he asked his dad was to fly her to England.
Yeah. And he gives her his harmonica, which you'd seen earlier and realized in this scene before that it was something his dad had given him, and they played together.
Yeah. So funny. Okay, quick note. They played the harmonica like 4 or 5 times in the movie, and I remember each time because I was dog sitting for my sister and her dog Reveille. Every single time that harmonica was played, I don't want to say she lost it. Like, she didn't like go crazy. She just like would stare up and start walking around. And I was like, I can't tell if she hates the harmonica or loves it.
Is she dancing? Is she freaking out?
She'd get up and she'd like start walking around looking at the TV. I'm like, what's happening? She was like freaked out by it. It was so funny. Anyway, the plane leaves, and Dodge goes back to New York, and the riots are done. And this is basically the last night on Earth, or before it, kind of. And he lays down in her apartment, and he turns on one of her records, and her whole thing is she loves records. And earlier when they're at Olivia's parents' house, they have a record player, so they're able to play them. So he turns on his records, and then the power goes out, and he's laying in there. It's finally out. And so Penny comes home, and she's like, how could you have left me? And I don't know. I think I expected them to be like, oh, I thought it was best, but he just goes, I don't know. That was the stupidest thing I've ever done. So they they kind of just go and lay down, and he just talks to her and asks her about her, and then you can start hearing the asteroid hitting, like pieces of the asteroid hitting, and it trembles them, and she's like scared, and he just keeps talking to her and telling her he loves her, and he's like, "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me," and whatever, and then it's kind of ends on Penny's face as everything kind of fades to white.
Yeah.
The end.
The end. And then music. Well done.
That's it.
Yeah, it was a sweet ending, I will say.
Yeah.
And it was, I guess, for as real as you can be with any kind of movie like this, it seems more of what it would actually be. Just honestly, if an asteroid the size of Texas is going to come at us, chances are we're not really going to be able to do anything about it. So just kind of accept it. And that's what they kind of do, and they just kind of are in. Like I said, that reminded me of the whole Titanic thing. The two, just they're in bed, looking into each other's eyes, and just whispering sweet nothings, and then the end comes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of sweet, But
That is kind of sweet.
But I want to take a break so we can still give an alternate ending to this.
Okay.
And we're back. Hey, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please do us a favor and rate the show. And that way we get more great ratings, because obviously that's the kind of rating you'd give us, 5 stars at least. And then more people can see our podcast, Movie Podcast. So appreciate you doing that, and appreciate you
5
following
stars
us.
for Beezus.
Yeah. What?
That's the name of the last, season 6 finale for New Girl.
Ah, man. I need to get back into that one. Anyway, let's give some alternate endings to this beast.
Must we? I don't have any.
Well, all right. I'll just say, just in some of the ideas, I thought it would have been really sweet. Because when I watched it, I couldn't help but think, where's Dad? Like, thanks, Keira, for coming, Penny, but where's his dad? Like, why couldn't Dad hang out for the end of this whole thing? I understand why they didn't do that, but I thought it would have been neat if, when she came back, they just picked up and left and went back to Dad's house, and he's got a nice ranch, and they all hung out there. And maybe, have some of the other friends that they met along the way with them, too. And they're just all one big happy family in this nice ranch here at the end of things. I'm so glad I'm here with you, Dodge, here at the end of things. Kind of thing.
My gosh. Lord of the Rings.
You know it.
Do you think we'll ever make it through an episode without referencing the Lord of the Rings?
Maybe.
Because I noticed we do it a lot.
Probably not, considering I'm just now, since it's fall. Fall has nothing to do with it, just an excuse. But Aubrey and I just started watching them again 2 days ago. We're about to start Two Towers. So while we're making fall crafts.
I watched all 3 of them extended edition 2 weeks ago. And then I rewatched the first one because I was at Alyssa's house. And they were like, should we watch it? I'm like, I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
Did I watch it 3 days ago? Yes.
Yeah. It's just so good. Yep, that's what we're doing. We're watching the extended because that's the only way to watch them. Have we said that enough? No. Have you done it yet? Hopefully. But anyway, I want everyone to be together at the end of it's already they've chosen a sweet thing where Penny and Dodge are together. Why not just have, since it's all unlikely, why not have Dodge be at the ranch, and then anyone else that wants to be there is there too. That's one way that I would have done it. I got another way as well.
Yeah. I don't know what I would do. I think when I first saw this movie, I hated that they actually died, that the world actually ended. Mm-hmm. But now when I watch it, I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to say I see the beauty in it, because I don't think that's what I came away with. It's more just the way that they chose to take treat an inevitability and gave it so much humanity. And I keep saying that there's not like this group of people. It's the one writer, right? And she took it and she chose to give this inevitability a human ending, and just a really beautiful thing. And I really appreciate that. And so, I don't know. I guess if you were to ask me when I was 21 how I would have ended it, I would have said, they should not have the meteor hit,
Right.
and they don't have to die, because I want them to live long and prosper.
Yeah.
So I think like that's how I would have had it. Was just like, we just got to know all these characters, and it's all for what? They all die. They die and we watch it. And it's like they were. So when you said let's watch this movie, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But I think what I was taking it from was my memory of just being like, I felt like I got like, even though the whole movie was telling me what was going to happen, there was no shying away from it. It wasn't going to be, I just wanted there, I guess maybe to be a MacGuffin when I was younger, to come and rescue everybody and be like,
right.
oh, it missed.
Yeah, that would have been really sweet if they had it to where it's like everything that just happened and then the light goes light, like they did, where it just fades to white. Is that the right way you say it? Fades to white?
Yeah, I guess.
And then it comes back.
And they're like, what are we still doing here?
Maybe it's like they open their eyes and you see like ash or dust on their face, and they kind of wake up and they're like, well, and they kind of come out of their apartment and you don't see the whole apartment. You can tell there's a lot of light, and then you see like part of the apartment maybe is gone, but everything is fine. Like people are all starting to come out, and it's like, then there's like a news in the background as they're like together, and they're kind of saying something like, most of the comet or whatever burned up in the atmosphere and only certain parts are destroyed, but hey, it's not an apocalyptic event. And
yeah,
and then like they, more cool music, and then them getting like groceries together or something like that. And it's like, hey, most people have made it, and they made it, and then it's, yay, kind of thing.
I see that. Although I would say I would almost only want it to be fades to white, and then comes back and it goes back and they're still laying there kind of puzzled, and then the movie ends.
Yeah, that'd be
I don't
cool.
even know if I'd bring it past then.
Yeah.
I think I might just be like leaving, if you're going to have it be that it doesn't actually land, then I think you wouldn't want to tell much more story.
Right.
You'd leave it to your audience to finish it.
Yeah, that's cool. Because it's just kind of like their eyes opening and they're just kind of like, huh. And then the music starts and it's credits.
Yeah. Then you could do an Inception thing of like, oh, is it a dream or real? But you could be like, oh, did it hit? Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that could maybe introduce too much ambiguity, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess I think that would be a nice ending too.
Yeah, another way you could, I just kind of thought of this is, I guess for this kind of ending, Keira Knightley or Penny and Dodge would have to know each other a little bit more. So let's assume they do know each other like they're friends, kind of. And have everything in their interaction go through, and then right where that light happens, and then it goes back to when Dodge first sees her at the window. And then where she's crying at the window. And then so when he opens up the thing, he just kisses her, maybe. And then she's like, what? And then they kiss. Like that's, like I said, they'd have to be something where it's like shows that throughout the movie they have a little bit more history and know each other.
Yeah, but I don't get what you mean. Like, are you saying it didn't happen actually? Like ever since the window?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just like, because he's kind of like the whole point. I mean, most of the movie, he's a guy who just has regret and is just going through the motions in his life, and he finally just decides to do something and go see about his ex or whatever, or not ex, his high school sweetheart, and she goes along with him. And or he could do the same thing into where he gets in the airplane with her. I don't know. Yeah, I was just trying to do one of those, because they do that in movies where it's like,
Sure, I get what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just said the window because that's where they start actually becoming a thing or conversing and actually acknowledging each other.
Like a sliding door situation.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
Sliding door. I don't think so.
Maybe that's a good movie to change the ending to.
Ooh. Should we make that this
Gwyneth
next one?
Paltrow. It's this movie from the 90s where she misses her subway in one reality, and in the other one she makes it.
Huh.
And so you're watching in the sliding door, because it's the sliding door of whether she makes that.
Right.
Whether she makes her train or not. And then two stories unfold. And so it's like two alternate realities unfold from that moment. And you kind of watch them go.
Oh,
but I don't remember the ending, but I have a feeling I didn't care for the ending.
Well, we'll have to, maybe that's the next one.
I love it because you know who's in it is the dude from Four Weddings and a Funeral and The Mummy, the Scottish actor.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Who I love.
John Hannah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, not this movie, but yeah, that's what it reminded me of. I see that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and like I said, the other part is just like, I mean, I get the plane was like a 2-person passenger plane, but it would have been neat if there was a way to, he goes with her and goes to England. And so they kind of show him actually so it ends where he gets her to England. He's with them in England, and Martin Sheen can come along because Martin Sheen's cool. Dad said, sorry, they're good now. And so they all go, because, who doesn't want to end their day like the holiday with, what's her name? Cameron Diaz, we're in a beautiful English cottage, Oh.
Yeah, Cotswolds. Yeah. I think, I could see that because then you could have them kind of walk up to where her house is and then kind of look at each other and smile or something and then end it there. Like,
yeah,
you see the family or hear them in the distance or something.
Yeah.
And so you're still going to have the movie end how it was going to end, which is, the asteroid hits. But
yeah, but he gets to be with, because
her family.
Because you kind of get the feeling he's just alone. I mean, there's Martin Sheen, but other than Martin Sheen, he's got nobody. Like, his friends went to the crazy partying and wanting to sleep with each other and all that weird stuff, and he's not about that. And his wife's gone, and and now he has Kira or Penny, and why not be with? And he's got his dad back, so why not all fly and go be with Penny's family, and then she gets to have? Because honestly, it's sweet that she comes back for him, but she's really just doing what she was complaining about earlier. That she's like, I just picked these people I barely know. And instead of my family. Like, I get it. She had some closure with the phone call.
That's fair. That's more than fair.
Like,
I didn't even think about that.
Go to England.
That's true. She totally does do that again. That's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
So, that would be another one. Like, yeah, get in the plane and the three of them go be with her family, and she gets to actually see them. Gets to see the kid who I assume is named, the baby who I assume is named after her, the way she kind of cries in the reaction of when she asks. So, yeah, it'd be sweet in England, Who doesn't want to be there at the end of all things?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a, so I don't know. I think, I don't know. I don't know how, I think there's a few ways you could have ended this. And now that we're thinking about it and talking about it. I don't dislike, I guess, any of the alternatives.
This is more like I said earlier, this is more like it would be neat this way too.
Yeah.
I like this. Is if you are just, we've had some people who text us or DM us and say, I haven't seen most of these movies and I just like listening to you guys talk about it. And well, add this one to your list then. I mean, even though you heard it all from Alex, I still think it's fun to watch. Steve Carell's always great anyway.
And Keira Knightley's so good. Like, they're so good. And they're so good. They have so much chemistry. And it's just a sweet, funny movie. Like, it's absurd. Like, even like the guy who wants to get himself killed, like assassinated, that part's so absurd. It's funny. Like, and Steve Carell's so good at, like, reacting in a silly, like, not in a over-the-top goofy way, but just in a, like, that's why every GIF is Michael Scott doing something, because he just has these expressions and stuff that are just so funny. Yeah. And so, it's totally worth watching. It's not the best movie in the world or anything, but It was way better than I remembered it being. And it's not going to lean into all of the political and militaristic, all that kind of stuff that I think a lot of movies tend to lean into, because it's a very personal story about these two characters. And it really leans into that, and everything else is the background.
True that.
And so it's not going to try to answer every question or maybe even be the most real situation. I don't know, but it is going to try to just bring some humanness to a super scary and sad, situation.
Right. Yep. Well, shall we just jump right into some facts about this thing?
Sure.
Fact. I was looking it up, and I'm going to give you a 90%. So this is 90% fact, because there's people. I couldn't find a definitive answer, but I do see this map that says it's possible. My biggest question was, can the little prop Cessna that Martin Sheen has, and like you said, they're on the East Coast and they're going to go across the pond to England. Is that even? I was like, is that possible? Is that a thing? Like, will it even make
plane?
it? Yeah, are you going to make
I had that
trip?
same thought.
Yeah, and yes, it is possible, because they go up. It's the way the whole atmosphere works, or the way the curve of the planet, because they go up towards Greenland and then back down towards England. So it's not as long technically, or something like that. So someone who's a pilot can say it better than I can, but the short answer is it is possible. They won't run out of gas and just crash and burn, or crash and be like the Titanic in the Atlantic. It is possible. They could have made it. So
okay.
There's
That's
that.
good to know.
Yeah, good to know they would have made it. If they would have gone that route, if she would have actually went to see family.
Okay, so there's a couple different, I guess, theories or ideas of when this is supposed to take place. One says it's supposed to be there's an actual issue, like a newspaper, that says March 2021. But then somebody noticed on the medication, on his wife's medication, that the date was expired on February 2021, which is a year after issue, so it would have been 2020. But I think probably that was a goof.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to take place. Or the medicine, yeah, because you know what? I bet it's supposed to be March 2021 and her medication is expired.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, now that I'm saying this all out loud, this movie takes place in March 2021.
Surprise,
so guys, good news. We got past it.
We did it.
With everything else that happened in 2020, 2021, we did not get hit by an asteroid.
We do have, I think, at least 3, and I'm sure someone from NASA will say there's a lot more than that they're not telling us, or probably have if you're really a space buff. But there is at least 2 or 3 asteroids that are eventually, because they already come by us, like Halley's Comet comes by every 80 years, I think. But every year, every time it does come by, it's a little bit closer to Earth as far as how it travels. So eventually, and I don't remember how many hundreds of years it's supposed to be, eventually it's supposed to hit. So, and that's big enough to be like, well, it was great. Peace. And there's a few others. There's another asteroid.
I don't think it's hundreds. I think it's like in a million years.
Probably.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not like in a really long time.
Yeah, it's not in our great-grandchildren's lifetime or anything like that.
Yeah.
But, and it comes by like I said, every 80 years or something like that. So, but they did find another asteroid recently that I guess could be, and it could be a problem for us in the future. Again, it's another one of those not in our lifetime, but it's something they're paying attention to now. One of the reasons for an actual, and this shouldn't be political, it's not, but this is one of the reasons there's a Space Force now. So to deal with something that could be a problem like that. So yeah,
which Steve Carell is part of.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I have not finished that show.
I never even started it. I heard it wasn't very good.
It wasn't very good. That's why I haven't finished it. So, but yeah, was that Netflix or Amazon?
Yeah, Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix. Yeah. So yeah, Steve Carell's on. Good catch, Alex.
That's funny. Let's see. Oh, so this movie title was taken from the Chris Cornell song "Preaching the End of the World."
One of the weirdest. Oh wait, no, isn't there the? That's the one with the weird music video. I think it is, like in the desert or something.
Oh, the song.
Yeah, the song "Seeking a Friend for the End of the World." Weird.
Or preaching the end of the world.
Oh, I'm thinking of the "Seeking a Friend for the End of the World," because I think that had something to do with this as well.
What are you talking about?
There's a song called "Seeking a Friend for the End of the World," and that was also used and for, I guess, not a reference to, and I don't, maybe it's not in the soundtrack. I looking for all the different facts, they were talking about this song, and I was like, I don't know who this person is, and this song is weird. And they were showing the music video, but that's what it's called, "Seeking a Friend for the End of the World."
No way.
So.
You're talking about preaching the end of the world.
Okay, then that's the title. Is it the one with the weird desert music video thing?
I don't know.
Oh,
but I don't think there's a song called "Seeking a Friend for the End of the World."
I could have sworn that's what they said, or maybe they said it was just the like you were saying. I digress. I'll just back up. Just leave this to Alex.
It's funny. Oh yeah. So I guess that scene that we were talking about that Rob particularly liked too was when Keira Knightley calls her family, when Penny calls her family. It made like the entire cast and crew cry during filming.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was really good.
Yeah, my eyes were getting a little watery watching that scene. It was nice. Alex mentioned it, but if you had missed that because you were doing whatever while listening to this podcast, Dodge's wife Linda is Steve Carell's wife, Nancy Carell. So. And she, I think most people would have known that because she already made the appearance in The Office before. That was before 2012. So I think it would be more well known for any Steve Carell fan
As
than The Office fan.
As a Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And suddenly she's not your hoe no more.
Is there ever going to be a time where we don't reference The Office in these podcasts? Never.
You got any more?
Well, yeah, I got more.
All right, let's go for him.
Well, they show pictures of when he's rummaging through Keira Knightley, or Penny, is going through when they're at his high school sweetheart's house, and they're not there. She's going through high school yearbooks and sees Steve Carell and pictures of him. And so there's a picture of him in a hockey uniform, and that's real. He actually did, I think still does play hockey.
You know why I knew that was real? Is because in The Office, he's so good at playing hockey.
He's so good at skating, yeah. Well, how I know is by listening to the Office Ladies podcast, and when they got to that episode where he's ice skating in hockey gear, they talk about how, he does. He plays pickup hockey, and there's one where he had a broken finger in one of the Office shows, and it's because he was playing hockey and jammed his finger, yeah. So
he's
Steve Carell,
Agent Michael Scarn.
Yeah, that's right.
When he just straight up murders Oscar. Wait, no, who does he murder to get? Does he murder Oscar's character? Remember, he needs to make it into the team.
Probably.
And he in Golden Face, he's like, I wasn't trying to beat you, I was trying to distract you. And then he gets to the end, and all Oscar wins, and then he just has to kill Oscar to get.
Oh, the show is so
questionable.
Funny.
Anyway, everyone go watch The Office.
You can only watch it on Peacock now. Yeah. Peacock.
Also go watch this movie.
Yes, definitely go watch this movie. My last facts are in an interview. People, some of the main characters were asked what would they do if it was their last days. Steve Carell said he didn't know. He'd just run around crazy. Probably he says I'd probably be no help to my family. Basically, he's like I'd just be goofy and nuts and freaking out. Keira Knightley said she'd be getting drunk and partying it up. Rob Corddry. Which is it? And again, his character in this movie is like they're just like, you know what, screw it, life sucks, and I'm just gonna be a drunk and do heroin and sleep around and have a party. That was his character, and his characters in a lot of his movies, he's a crazy person. But his answer was, you know what, he's like, I would just run home to my family and kiss my kids. Like, he was the one like
a real person.
Yeah. T.J. Miller, he's a comedian, so he's like, I'd probably do a lot of the same thing my character was doing anyway. So that was his
No surprises there.
Yeah. So, yep. That's it for facts.
Cool.
How did Rotten Tomatoes feel about this movie?
Oh, you want to know Rotten Tomatoes too? Oh, you have to know about Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh, yes.
Where do you get off? I mean, how dare you ask? Of all the things that you could ask a person, you're sitting here saying that you need a cat 55%.
Good delay. Good job. So that means
and guess what the audience score was?
I was going to say 77%.
No.
40%.
No.
80%.
Split the diff.
25%. Oh, but what did I say? 50 something. 55. I was like, I don't remember what I said. 53.
So basically scored the exact same.
That would get a better score. Everyone, go watch it on HBO Max or rent it on Amazon if you don't have HBO Max and give it a better rating because I think it's better than that. Speaking of that, for as far as Friends rating, out of 5 friends, I'd invite 3 friends for this. Oh yeah, you guys want to watch a cool, tad bit more positive apocalyptic type movie? 3 friends, I give it.
Yeah, I'm reading reviews, and you know what? I think people are a little too... Yeah,
harsh?
I don't know. All the audience are giving it like 3 stars, which I think it's like a 3-star.
Yeah?
Like 3 or 3 friends.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Like, I think it's good. Like, it's not the best movie in the world, but it's certainly not like 55% aggregate, okay? Be nicer.
Yeah.
To this movie. Yeah, 3 or 4 stars. I liked it.
Okay.
I'd watch it again.
Right on. Yeah, I'd watch it in here with friends and stuff. Yeah, for sure. And as far as multitaskable rating, you could do other things while watching this movie and still get what's going on. It's actually a movie that you can just really listen to and get it. And I mean, it's funny to watch, obviously, but I mean, you don't have to pay attention every moment to really know what's going on. I don't think.
I think I did. That said, my sister does have a giant TV in her house that is such a short distance from you that you can't really help but pay just 100%. She's got like a 70-inch TV. Is that the size I'm thinking of? Is that one of the largest TVs you can buy?
It's probably an 80. If it's really big, it's probably an 80.
It's so big.
Then it's
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's one of those new TVs that like turns into a portrait.
Ah,
when
fancy.
you're and like the remote is a mouse. Her fiance Alex bought it, and I was like, "This thing is wild." So you can't really help but do anything else. You're just like, "That's all I can see." Is this TV? It's pretty nice.
Is it good size for their home? Because usually you have a really big living room if you're gonna have a screen that big. Otherwise, you're gonna hurt your eyes.
I said it was a giant TV, and you're not very far from it.
Okay, my bad. I was just...
So no, it is not. It takes up their whole wall.
I said, all right, my bad. Go.
But yeah, it is very large, and the room is not that large. So it's kind of like that's what you're seeing in the room for sure.
Got it.
But they've got a really cozy couch, so it all works out.
It all works out in the end. All right. Well, let me give some movie news real quick before we wrap this beast up. There is a movie for the sports fans. There's a movie about Kurt Warner that's coming out. That's he was the quarterback for the Rams before they came to L.A. And he's the one with the same year that the Oilers became the Tennessee Titans and that made it all the way to the Super Bowl, turned the Oilers into an awesome team all of a sudden. And then the Rams decided to be awesome, and he was an unlikely quarterback that became popular that year because they went all the way and then won the Super Bowl. So this is about, I don't know if this is directly about that, but he was an unlikely player that was just all stacked against him, and he ended up making it in the end. So that's what this movie's about. So it's going to be one of those cool inspirational football movies. So
wow.
Yes. And just Huh?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, isn't there also coming out a Mario movie?
Is there a Mario movie coming out?
With Chris Pratt?
Oh my gosh. I must have missed that.
Because Kevin T. Porter is joking about being the casting director on Twitter, and nobody's realizes it's a joke, and it's been really fun to watch the last few days.
Oh yeah, I've not seen that as real news, so yeah, it must be a joke. Wow.
No, the movie's not a joke. You can find it on IMDb.
Oh, just him being that. Got it.
Yeah, but Chris Pratt's in it, and they're coming out with a Mario movie. So
well, they haven't had a Mario movie since '80s, so cool.
What a perfect film that was.
Yeah.
Dino Hatton.
This week, September 30th. I don't know when you're actually listening to this, but September 30th, Venom: Let There Be Carnage is in theaters. So that'll be cool. That's the second Venom movie with Tom Hardy. That looks like it's going to be pretty cool. Addams Family 2 for the kids. I don't even care to watch the first one because CGI Addams Family is nowhere near as cool as the 90s Addams Family movies were. They were awesome. So, especially the first one. Wow. It's one to watch, especially since we're getting to Halloween. You want to watch the original Addams Family? It's good if you haven't seen that. Christopher Reeves on September 25th. It was his birthday. Just wanted to bring that up because I guess it was a big deal on September 25th. He was Superman, and he was a quadriplegic. He did a lot for the foundation for that, and he passed away in his 50s. He was the best Superman ever, in my opinion. So, sad. Lastly, the last James Bond movie with Daniel Craig is coming out October 8th, No Time to Die. It's supposed to be really epic, and Daniel Craig has been real emotional about that. You can see it, I'm sure you've seen it all over Instagram and TikTok and stuff, him being emotional about on the last day of filming and stuff, and he's had interviews and stuff, and that's it.
I think it's going to be Luther.
Luther?
What's his real name?
I don't know who you're
Idris Elba.
Oh, that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants that. Well, that would be cool. I'd be down for that. But anyway, we're out. Follow us on Instagram at Alternate Podcast. Music is grooved by Jason. Podcast graphics by Riley Simon. Show produced by Rob Newton, Alex Tourje. Editing by Rob Newton. We're out.
Peace and love.